The truth resists simplicity. John Green. I kept coming back to this quote while I was researching for my Remembrance Day project, trying to figure out what I wanted to say. All of the points I had seemed too simple and therefore inaccurate. Humans are complicated, weird, unpredictable, and messy. It follows that the most prominent feature in human history, war, would be just as complex. No war in human history has ever had only one cause, effect, or victim. Keeping this in mind, I chose 2 photos pertaining to war that offer a different perspective on the conflict. I will be discussing the point made by each image as well as the other side of the issue. Remembrance Day is about honoring the dead and injured of war. However, there are many different kinds of injury, and many of them are hardly, if at all, acknowledged. Depression and suicidal tendencies go almost entirely untreated in the military, to the point that 2 soldiers commit suicide for every 1 that dies in action. 30% of people who spend time in a war zone contract post-traumatic stress disorder. Unresolved trauma is one of the leading causes of suicide, and yet soldiers who come forward about their mental illnesses are often met with ridicule and disbelief. Even worse, this piece of art was created in 2009 and is therefore outdated. Since then, suicide rates have increased by 9%, and yet we rarely hear of it. After the Second World War, the Allies began the denazification process, destroying symbols of Nazism and attempting to change the public mindset, the latter of which included displaying graphic images of concentration camps to German soldiers and civilians. This photo of medical staff and soldiers being shown these images clearly demonstrates the horror these people felt upon seeing what they had been fighting for. I think it is important to consider that not all of the Germans fighting in the Second World War knew of the atrocities being committed by their army, nor did they have any control over it if they had. Some of these people were likely uninformed and ignorant, making them still more victims of the Second World War. There are many people who deserve our 2 minutes of silence, not just Canadian veterans and casualties. There are people who die and are forgotten because they are on the wrong side, and those who die from the crushing mental and physical after effects of war. These people are still victims of war, and I intend to remember them.